We're so excited that we're here this morning. And I'm going to give it a couple of seconds and let it all go. I see that we're live on Facebook in our Facebook homeschool groups. We're live on my main page, and we're also live on my homeschool page. So the goal here is to make sure we're broadcasting you, Miss Anita Gibson, for the ladies and gentlemen today. I'm really excited. We've been on a journey this summer rallying the homeschool experts, the parents who really put in the work when they jumped into this task of homeschooling. So I'm just really excited to have you here today. I can't wait for the rest of the homeschool community to learn if they haven't met you. I know we've got viewers all around the world. So you're speaking to the homeschool moms in Belgium and Europe and France and Italy. I had a lady email me from Prague the other day about what curriculum I'm using for my Black homeschooler in America. And because
Wow.
we've done such a good job of reaching out to the community, we want to bring you up in front because we know that you have the resources and the answers to some of our questions. And I want you to start this morning by just tell us who you are, and how you got here in this homeschooling game. Every homeschool mom has their story, so we want to hear your story this morning.
Awesome. I'm just honored to be here. So, my husband and I, we started talking about this thing before the kids were born, or actually, once they were born, we had to get really serious about it. And I'm an out the box kind of person, so homeschool was something that intrigued me. And so we said, okay, I said, okay, we'll try homeschool for 1 year and, see how it works. And we got into it and we started liking it. We ended up having 3 children. And before you know it, each year we would re up for homeschool. And so our family thought we were crazy. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
you know it. It had just become legal in the state of Maryland. And for Black people to do it, that was just too far. But my husband and I really felt compelled that this was what the right move for our family. And so we kept going. We made so many mistakes. And a part of why I am now a consultant is because I would love to help people not make all the mistakes that we made,
I am now a
to be
consultant.
able
Is
to
because
get the
part
counsel,
of
the tribe that you need to have around you, because homeschool is not a lone ranger activity. It is something that you need other people around. And if you have them around, your experience will be so much different.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, I thought I was on mute, but I'm not. Okay. All right, next question. I got to stay on task because I'll be going and talking and talking. Let's address the elephant in the room. So many
Right.
parents say, I'm not qualified to homeschool. What are some of the things that you have in your little toolkit that you give those parents who are saying, I'm not qualified to do this?
So I hear that. I hear I don't have enough patience. I hear I don't have a degree. There's all of those different things. But at the end of the day, your child still needs a different environment. They still need some place that is more one-on-one, that is individual, that is smaller. And so we see that need. That's why we're thinking about homeschooling, because obviously whatever we've been doing, it's not working. And so, yes, I may feel that I'm not qualified, but who was the first teacher of that child? Who was the one that taught them all the things that they already know before they went to school?
Here we go.
Us. And so if we can teach them those things we didn't know about potty training and the other kinds of things to be able to help them with, we learned, we figured it out, we read, we same thing with homeschool. So yeah, you will feel not that you're not qualified, but that is not the issue. If you commit to doing it, if you feel that you've been led to do it, then the resources will come. Now, I have a lot of colleagues around me who have master's degrees and bachelor's degrees and PhDs, and I applaud that. But
Mhm.
I purposely kept myself with only a high school diploma. And I know some of you are going to be like, because as a consultant, I wanted to be an example that you can homeschool your children well without a degree.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the degree. The statistics show that there's no correlation between the degree that a parent has and the success of their children. Now, this child right here with only a high school diploma, my husband and I, we ended up with our oldest daughter is a diplomat. She works for the State Department. She speaks fluently French, Vietnamese, and South and
Come
Korean.
on. Come
She
on.
has been all over the world. She is tenured and is has like 10 more years and she's going to be able to retire in her 40s. She got what do you call it? Her scholarships to American University for her she has her master's degree. Then our next daughter, she is a phenomenal science teacher. She teaches chemistry, biology, physical science, middle school, high schooler. She actually is in the homeschool community doing that. And our son is an entrepreneur and he built his own successful photography business and videography business to the point that he was working in a daycare, not a daycare, an aftercare in a church, and the school that's connected to that daycare, aftercare saw his work and they hired him as the school photographer, videographer. Well, the school is connected to a megachurch.
Come on.
And when the megachurch saw the skills that my son taught himself, they hired him. And now he is in charge of this 30,000 member church's production team. He has young men under him that he mentors. Every child, a different path. Mom and dad, high school diplomas. Qualified? You absolutely are.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that bit of affirmation because I know when I'm talking to moms that are just getting started, they're just getting started in parenting. Right? Right. That's why you feel like that, maybe, because you just got on the rocky boat and you weren't ready yet. But it's okay because just like parenting, homeschool is something that is unique to the child. So you
That's right.
are the developer of how they're handled and you get to put it all together the way that is
That's
best
right.
for them. I love the example that you used is like, I always say, have you taught them anything like brushing their teeth, tying their shoe, put their clothes in the laundry basket? If you taught them that, you're overqualified because you've already succeeded at getting information and getting an action out of the information. And truly, that's
Exactly.
all we're trying to do.
Yes.
I want to ask you this. When you were working with your kids at the age before they developed their career passion, how did you support them in the different avenues? And I know I've got one football, I've got one band, and I've got one Japanese. They're focusing on all different things. How did you handle that?
So if you notice that the different areas they went in are very diverse, and it's a part of the kind of the star finder kind of thing that I'm into that I'm teaching is you're looking for cues. You're looking for cues of things that will tell you that there's maybe some gifting in an area. I had a mom who the son was constantly breaking up everything in her house.
Mm.
And she was like, what am I gonna do? I keep telling him to stop touching my stuff. And I look up and he has broke something else. It's over in the corner somewhere. And I tell him, didn't I tell you to stop breaking up my stuff? I don't know what else to do. I was like, what if your
Mhm.
son is a potential engineer and he needs to see how things work? And that's why he's breaking up stuff. Let's go have you go to the thrift store, buy some stuff that he can legally break up, put it in an
Mhm.
area in the house, and let him go for it. Well, that young man ended up in high school, going to college classes at 10th, 11th grade, and he graduated college and he's an engineer.
You knew
So,
it.
yes. So there are things that irritate you about your child that are really showing you strengths.
Mm.
And so as you begin to hone in, you might not know what the career is going to be, but what are they presenting? Do they talk all the time? Well, then maybe you need to find some place where they can talk. And maybe it's drama classes, or maybe it's, something at the church, or maybe it's a debate club. That was
Mhm.
our oldest daughter. She talked so much. Sometimes I'd have to run into the bathroom, close the door, and say, if no one's bleeding or dying, do not bother me, because I could not take
Yes. Yes.
another word.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But that's how God made her. And so he showed me, we keep shutting down. Like, it's an irritant to you. but you have to find a way to get enough margin so that one, you can hear her. Because guess what, baby? Your daughter wants to talk to you. That's a privilege because she could be choosing to talk to somebody else. And she
Mhm.
will be if you keep shutting her down. So you need to get enough margin so you can hear her. And then you need to teach her that sometimes you do need to be quiet.
Mm.
And then you need to start finding places for her to explore and express those things. And you also need to let them do things that they say, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
You need to give them exposure in a lot of areas because Lauren wanted to be an actress at first. And we thought that's what this talking thing was. But it ended up that she was a diplomat, still
Mhm.
talking in the
Mm.
social media realm, but it was a totally different, so you don't know what the path is in right there, but they're presenting some things to you, their passions, the things they love to do, the things that you don't have to ask them to do. Those are some of the ways that you can start to see it. And then you find activities and projects and things right in your home that allow them to begin to express those things.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit about people who are, because I do have a lot of public school families who may be pulling their kids this summer and be transitioning into homeschool in the fall. And then I have a lot
Mhm.
of followers who are on my page who are educators as well in the public school system. So I just want to ask this question. You work with many parents. Is homeschooling realistic for families where one or both parents work full time? And what are some practical ways that you've seen them be able to balance and make that work?
That's a good question. Absolutely. In fact, I think that that is an area in the Black community that is really growing. A
Hmm.
lot of the parents that we minister to, I'm also a director for a homeschool program, they work. And so I worked the whole time that I homeschooled. I always looked for jobs that would go work around my homeschool. We downsized. We made some significant choices
Hmm.
about the importance of educating our children. We downsized our house. We ended up at some seasons with only one car. So there
Hmm.
were definitely things that, that we did. We went to the thrift store to get our clothes.
Here we go.
We made some shifts so that we would be in a position to be able to homeschool because it was that important to us. You have to get a tribe. So we have homeschool parents who go to work at 7, and we have classes that we offer to help support, but they can't get there. And so they have auntie and grandma. They form clubs, not clubs, but where other parents will also carpools, help
Carpool.
them get their students there. Sometimes someone will help pick up, someone will help drop off. They might have an uncle who's really good with math, and they'll kind of shuttle that over there to them. So a part of STAR is resources is the R. And I'll talk more about that later. But every family has resources. You just got to sit down and start thinking about what are the things that our family has access to, because those things are the things that God is using to help your child become who they're supposed to be.
Perfect. All right. Let's talk a little bit about STAR strengths, talents, abilities, and resources. How can parents begin to truly identify those qualities in their own children? And why does that matter so much?
So you start identifying them by what I shared earlier is creating margin in your brain to have time to look at your child.
Here we go.
Really look at your child. Stop thinking that, the things they're doing are negative and start to say, but what could that be?
Uh huh.
And as you begin to do that, to put things in place, to then flesh it out a little more, is that this or is that that? You don't have to even tell them what you're doing. And so as you begin to do that, as you get rid of some of these technologies, as you create, I call them passion centers in your house, and you start shutting down some of the video games and those kind of things. There's a time for those things, but when we homeschooled, at the end of the day, you didn't go watch TV or get on your device. You went to your passion centers. You went to those places where I was seeing certain things. I had whole art center, Lego centers, geography areas, crochet kinds hands, things that they were using their hands and not immediately going to the technology. And as I began to do that, I started seeing things because when they're on technology all day, they're focused right in just on that and almost can kind of push out everything else. But you, as a parent, if you want to see who they are, you have to give them things to do and then you have to be there with them. I have parents that are telling me, I want to get an online program that checks the homework, and those things are fine. But where are you? Where are you in the process? How are you coming to know who your child is? What field trips are you all doing? You could even be on the weekends if you work. In the evenings, there are ways to get around, the working kinds of issues. So, I hope did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I
Okay.
think the key thing that you have hit multiple times that all parents, and this is what me and Nicole P. Doyle talked about, a part of this thing is foundation of parenting. A part
Yes.
of this now, homeschooling is why we're here, right? But the foundation of really good support for a child comes from parenting foundations. And
Amen.
if I am having a hard time myself being able to identify time to even
Right.
look at the baby, then I may miss it and I
Yeah.
may just be frustrated all the time because that's all I have time to be is frustrated, right? So I
Yes.
think being able to identify and also hold self accountable as a parent. And this goes for the moms and the dads. Nicole P. Doyle said, just grab a book and read with your baby every day, you know?
Yes.
And I'm thinking that's the simplest thing, but I can guarantee you 80% of the families that we are surrounded by just don't have time and they just don't make time. So then it's
Yeah.
like, let's get out of that habit. We're going to have to shock the system a little bit. We're going to have to
Yes.
do something we've never done before to get something we
That's it.
never had before. And if you
That's
want to
right.
see a shift in the way your child behaves, learns, interacts with others, speaks, you got to shift something as the example and the
Yes.
environment for them.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
for you, what was a turning point for you where you were like, "You know what? I got this." What gave you that, "Okay, I can go, baby number 2, 3, 4, everybody's getting this." What gave you the affirmation for yourself that you were on the right track?
So the family around us was against it. But when, a couple years in, they started noticing, our kids were different. They
Mhm.
they cared about things that kids didn't care about. They knew information. They had the ability to talk to adults. And because some of these adults would pull them to the side and be trying to, get a little information. My family, because they
Yeah.
they just they would thought we were harming the kids. And so as they started doing that and realizing just how amazing homeschooling was working for us, and now how knowledgeable, how polite, how wise our children were becoming. As I started getting that feedback, I was like, okay, so we are on the right track. But every year you kind of wonder
Mhm.
because the kids are not the same as they were the year before.
That part.
The issues are different, and every child is different. So to be quite frank, every year is kind of a, oh God, what are we doing?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
because I'm not quite sure. And so stepping back and saying, okay, what do we need to do for this year? So there's always a little instability, a little wondering each year.
Okay, so let's talk to the parents who are having education struggles, either at home, maybe with the public school system. These are parents who need to be able to be a little bit more attentive to how their child is learning. If there's a parent listening today whose child isn't thriving in their current school, what would you want them to know before they even think about homeschooling or before they dismiss homeschooling?
Yeah, that's good. Consider that, first of all, you can
Hmm.
homeschool. And then next, just to kind of look into it, that look like for your family.
Uh-huh.
because every family is different. What are the resources that you have around you that could potentially help you make those choices? And how would you situate yourself so that homeschool becomes kind of the center
Uh-huh.
of what you're doing? Is it possible, to be able to put some of these other things away? There's
Uh-huh.
some things you're going to have to stop.
Uh-huh.
There's places that things you're doing right now, this is not the season. You only get one shot
There we
at your
go.
child. There's no do-overs. And so the fact that you're thinking about it says there's a need there. But you're gonna have to be willing to make some sacrifices. Like I told you, we downsized, we lived in a townhouse for 28 years, we
Uh-huh.
only had 1 car, we went to the thrift store, I cooked most of our food, we didn't we did everything from scratch. I got in the game, not because I wanted to or I thought I could, but because I really felt that that was the best choice. So it's kind of that foundation that once you decide, once you do the research and you realize that maybe homeschool is the best choice, then you do the strategy. Okay, and we're going to do it by doing this, by doing that. I
Right.
had to stop, with certain things I was doing at church. I had to let go of certain things I would do with my girlfriends. I had to shift my mindset. They weren't the only priority, but they became a very high priority. And you have to get a connection with other moms.
Uh-huh.
You have to find your tribe, find your group. There's so many different groups out there. Who speaks the way you speak? I'm a butterfly. I love everything just let and my homeschool was, "Oh, let's go to the park. Come on,
Uh-huh.
let's go over here." Sometimes we never got to the math. And after, a while, that becomes a problem.
Right.
And so what I needed an umbrella. In a state of Maryland, we have to be under an umbrella. And so I actually joined an umbrella where I had accountability. Someone was actually looking at my work because that's what I needed because I'm
Yeah.
that butterfly. So you have to be honest, like Kalecia is saying, with yourself. You have to take a look at who you are, look at your strengths, and be honest about your weaknesses. Because all you can do with a weakness is just bring it up so it doesn't trip you up. That's all you're trying to do.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
once you do that, you'll be amazed at what your homeschool could look like.
So, I want to talk about some of the resources that we currently have right now, some of the organizations that you've been a part with, connected with, or used as support systems. I want to kind of I want to rattle off some connections that you've made because for over 2 decades I know that not only have you built a community, you are in the global homeschool community as an impactful leader. So you've been to conferences, you've spoken on stages, you've been inside of churches that have organizations. Give us some insight on how someone who's, doesn't even know any of this stuff exists, give us some things that we should be looking into. I know the last time I spoke with Lanissa James. She mentioned HSLDA. So tell us a little bit
Yes.
about how some of these organizations have played a role in your homeschooling journey and rattle off some names of some people that organizations and people that we should be looking for.
So there's an organization called NHERI. It is a homeschooling like think tank. It does lots of research. So if your husband, is looking at you side eye or your wife and she's like, I don't know about this homeschool thing, they have statistics and they've done studies to show how well homeschool students are doing once they actually finish with homeschool and how well they do in life and their careers and those kinds of things. So that's one organization that comes to mind offhand. There are just so many different organizations out there right now. I think the problem right now for homeschool parents is there's too much
Mm,
and they're stuck. Like, do I go left? Do I go right? What about that? And then there's a lot of people out there because they see money
yes.
in homeschool who are saying they're a consultant and that, they have a program for your child. Please check out and make sure that they actually are homeschoolers and have homeschooled because you want to get advice from someone who's actually done it. I do have one other thing I would like to share if that's okay.
Absolutely, please.
So when I was talking about Starfinder earlier. The way that actually came about was our oldest daughter, she just was really good at everything. Anything she did, I don't remember teaching her how to read.
Mhm.
She just was just a really gifted child. And me being like you said earlier, when you start homeschooling, a lot of times you're also starting parenting. I didn't know better. And that next child came and she was totally different. But I didn't realize that. So I put her into the same mold as the oldest and was constantly frustrated with her and created some damage. And over time, I realized that I had not honored the way that second child was made, the way
Mm.
God had created her. She was a processor. Oh, know nothing about processing. I'm a rabbit.
I got
I'm
a
like,
couple of
let's get
those.
it done. Let's go. What's the
Yep.
problem? Somebody ask you a question, answer it.
Yes.
You ask her a question, she's gonna think about it for a minute. I thought that was bad. I thought slow was bad.
Mm.
And I relayed that, not always with words, but with actions to her. And her esteem just plummeted. She struggled with reading. And even in fourth grade, she was still struggling. And
Mhm.
I'm like about to throw my hands up, like, what is wrong? And finally, God began to open my eyes to show me that I had not honored the way He made her.
Mhm.
And that when I woke up in the morning and a concept I taught her the day before, she didn't remember it, it wasn't her issue, it was mine.
Mm.
Because if she's not remembering it, then I'm not teaching it in a way that works for her.
Right.
And that it was my responsibility to find out how she learned and to begin teaching her in that way. So we had to start all over again. First of all, we had to apologize to her and acknowledge that we did not honor the way that she was made and that we were comparing her. And we asked her to please forgive us and give us a chance to try again. And so, for someone who's maybe pulling their child out of, say, public school or something, there's a season when you're just kind of chilling and you're kicking and you're, reading books and you're going on field trips. And some people call it de-escalation. You just kind of taking, trying to move away from what was, so you can get to what will be. And so you start making learning fun again. Or if it was never fun, you start making learning fun. And so we did that with her. We found out that she loved animals. The a bird would fall out of a tree in the neighborhood and the kids would knock on the door. Hey, Danielle, what do we do with this? They bring the turtles to the house. And so we started realizing, so we started getting her to the nature center and we would volunteer at the zoo and just doing different things that had to do with animals. And all of a sudden, Danielle like started to wake up.
Yeah.
And she started going to the library to get books about how to take care of her hamsters
Good.
and how to take care of her rabbits. I had to let them hamsters come into my house.
Mhm.
And for as far as I'm concerned, those are rats.
Okay.
But for Danielle, because that was her thing, we said, and she's the only one who will ever have a pet in this house. Because we knew we had to find something, some
Yeah.
place that she shined and no one else could touch it. And as we began to create those environments for her, my goodness, she blossomed. Her reading increased exponentially. By the time she was a teenager, she had bookcases in her bedroom.
Yes. I love
And
this.
she became an amazing science teacher
Right.
because we were able to figure out her thing, because we were able to figure out our thing, our prejudice, our issues, our
Yeah.
challenges, and be honest about them. Kids are so forgiving.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing that. I won't hold you for very much longer, but I do want to encourage our viewers to come and find all of the resources that you've created. I know you have your Star Finder philosophy and materials right now. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It definitely aligns with my own personal homeschooling philosophy. I love that you've called it Starfinder because it gives me even a better way to understand what I love doing, and that's finding the star. I just love it. I love it. Every kid, as soon as I meet them, I want to know, are you a scientist? And so because I am eager to learn how to learn, I want my kids to also have that excitement. So tell
Yeah.
us, where can we find your books, maybe you've done other webinars, maybe you've got some other resources out there. How do we get a hold of that stuff?
Absolutely. So if you go to Amazon and just put Anita Gibson in, Starfinder will pop right up. If you'd like the book, there are actual steps, and there's 12 steps for how you find a star in your child, and then lots of information, about Starfinder and why it's so important to find that star. You can also go to NHA online.org, and that is our nonprofit arm where we help families and organizations, multicultural in particular, just help them homeschool. We look for places where we can give support financially. We've been given like some funding to specifically find multicultural homeschool organizations who are doing good work that we can come alongside. I think if you go to nhaonline.org, all of the other places, all of my other links are in that one place.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anita. Listen, if you guys are watching and you're not already following her, go follow her on all your social platforms. She has so many amazing resources. I just went through and Googled her, baby, and I was able to find so much stuff. You've got videos, and you've been doing this. You've been doing this. So no one can say, well, I didn't know there was a resource for that. Well, actually, there is. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Now, we're going to get to see you on August the 1st in Washington,
Yeah.
D.C. Can we talk a little bit about the DMV's big homeschool conference is coming up on August the 1st? Tell me what you're looking forward to so they can hear about it.
I am so excited. First of all, Howard University.
Come on.
My goodness, what a location. And just a place where we can come together as a people and help and support one another. We are a minority in the homeschool community, but we are the fastest growing demographic
Mhm.
in the homeschool community. And so I cannot wait to get there. First of all, to meet the other speakers and to meet the families. If I could just set up a table somewhere, I would do on-site, little consulting kind of
Come on.
things, just because I love what I do. My kids graduated in 2008. I should not still be doing this.
We need you, baby. We need you.
But I love the people. I love the opportunity to connect. Come out, see us as a group, loving on one another, helping one another. The resources are within us. We have them.
Yeah,
We
we
don't
do.
have to go anyplace else.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anita. I appreciate you. I'm going to continue to share your vision and your mission as I travel the world with homeschooling. I love holding this torch globally. I'm really excited that you said yes to the vision that God has given me to bring us together as a community. I see this growing exponentially just as fast as the demographic that we've set in the tone of homeschooling. So I already feel like we're winning because we're here. So thank you so much for saying yes. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see how this impacts and grows. And we'll continue to do this. If you're watching today, we've got two more amazing leaders on our live. We're going to be live all day in our homeschool group. The resources are going to be coming fast. So get your pens and papers ready. Keep notes, save these videos, tag your homeschool directors and leaders. Get your mom friends in here and rewatch the film together. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see you all on August the 1st in Washington, D.C. And happy homeschooling. Deuces. All right, we got to end it. Thank you, babe.